I'm a recording and mixing engineer. This year marks 22 years of me being in the music business. What people don't understand is what that journey took. My first position at the studio was an intern, basically. I had the opportunity to work with an artist by the name of Missy Elliott. After that session, her team ended up calling the manager and saying, like, Missy loves that girl and wants her in all her sessions from here on out. The artists that would come through that building, young Alicia Keys, Beyonce, LL Cool J. We did a record called Headsprung, and he needed a girl. He was like, can you do it? And so that vocal, yeah, that's me. Like,
oh, that's so cool.
That, again, pinch me. It's a very male-dominated industry. When people bring up like the gender aspect of it, like, you're a woman engineer, like, wow, it's an engineering job. It's not like I need to, use male parts to do what I'm doing.
And you don't get those questions if you were a lawyer.
Exactly.
You know, say, oh, you're a woman lawyer?
Wow.
Like, nobody says that.
There's just so much like crap out there. Record labels don't even care.
They stopped telling stories. That's why we loved hip hop. It was crazy stories, but it was a story.
I love the fact that I've been able to be a person for other people to look up to and say, wow, I want to follow her. I have a passion for this.
Yeah.
Like, I love what I do. I don't like to lose. Every record that I work on is a part of music history forever.
Marcella.
Hey.
So glad you're doing this.
Yeah, me too.
We were just saying, like, it's funny because we're friends. So, but we're gonna get a little outside of that and talk about a little bit about you. And so I want to start off and just kind of give people a little background.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna read your Instagram bio because it's powerful. So being a mother is my love, which I feel like I had something to do with that. But anyway. We'll get into that. People are like, wait, what's that mean?
Oh, gosh. Not too many details.
Music is my passion, and I intend living this thing called life, recording and mixing engineer, professional sound writer. So if people don't know, like, give us a little bit background on, like, what you do for a living, because I don't even think, like, even when I was, like, you were coming to the gym and we were working together, I don't even think people knew, like, what you do.
And I love it. Very incognito.
Because you're incognito behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But you're also, like, a big deal. So, brag about yourself a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, let me see if I can try it. I'm a very humble person. So what I do is I'm a recording and mixing engineer. So basically I work in the studio with recording artists and producers, songwriters, and really work with them on the recording side to record songs, record music, instruments, whatever it takes. And once we're done with that process and the song is actually done, then as a mixing engineer, I take all the multi-tracks to the song, which can be hundreds of tracks, and I basically make it sound to how the consumer will hear it once it goes out on the radio, Spotify, et cetera, however you consume music. So the mixing engineer part is my favorite part of engineering because I get to work on my own time, my own schedule, my own space, As a recording engineer, you're more at the helm of an artist or a producer. So if they want to come in at midnight, then that's when you got to go in, right? So it's kind of like, it's not like my cup of tea anymore, because when I became a mom, it was like, that's not going to work,
right?
Yeah. But so essentially I work on music and
what's just for us people that don't understand how long something takes, what's the longest time you've ever spent on, like, one song, getting it right? Because I'm sure it's very time consuming.
Well, that's been a journey, because the beginning, obviously, in the beginning when you're first kind of starting out, that probably took a bit longer. So at my in my earlier days, I'll say it probably took me about 3 to 4 days, and I'm talking the long days. These are like 12, 15-hour days to try to mix a song. Once I get it done, though, there's a whole nother part, because then I have to deal with the artists or artists feedback. And I remember in particular, I was working with Puff in New York a few years back. And I mean, I was on this one mix for this was like back in 2005 or 6, like that long ago. Yeah. And it was a record with Biggie. It was the Biggie Duets album, and it had Biggie and Jay-Z featuring Jay-Z. And literally, we were on this mix for 9 days because the feedback between Puff and then Jay-Z had feedback, and but for me, I think it probably took me about 2.5 days to get it, and then once I sent it out to them, they're back and forth and pulling and tugging on, whatever feedback they had. It took 9 days, and I think that was the longest. It took,
But I mean, I don't know, for me, hearing that, because again, like I've been doing a lot of this, like analyzing of how people only see the end result.
Right.
And like, whether it's construction or whether it's us, like, let's say we're on a fitness journey of losing 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And then people all of a sudden are like, oh my God, you look so good, But it's very, very rare do people actually applaud you for the process.
Yeah.
Applaud you for what it took to get to that end result.
Yeah.
And so hearing you say, 9 days on one song.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand the work that's put in behind the scenes, and you're not even the artist. Like you're an artist, but you're not the artist, that's getting all the recognition and all the hype. So,
exactly. And I mean, even
cool.
to say that, right? Like this year marks 22 years of me being in the music business.
Wow.
22 years. And what people don't understand is what that journey took.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I just started working with these big mega, A-list stars. Like I literally started from the bottom.
Take us back there. So like when did you first break in or even want? Like when did it come about?
So the want of being in the music was from an early age. Okay. It just was a love for music. How can I get in this, right? And I thought around my high school days, I wanted to be like making beats and being a producer. So that's kind of where I was like, oh, I want to do that. And it wasn't until after high school during, right after high school, first of all, every college, everybody was like telling me that they didn't have a music program. And if I was to go in the music program, I had to either play an instrument or sing, and I don't do either.
Right.
So I'm like, but I want to learn. And they're like, sorry, nothing. Boom. So about 3 years after graduating high school, I was going to a regular college just for nothing to do with music, just to please my parents, because they're like, well, you're not going to just sit around, whatever.
Right.
So I think I was going to school for psychology and business administration at the time. And I ended up finding out about a school called Full Sail. And Full Sail University, which is in Orlando, Florida, offered programs in the recording, engineering, and production fields. And I was like, well, I really don't know what that is, but let me go check it out. So I went to do like a little tour. Yeah. And I walked into a studio with the console and all the hardware. And my heart just started it was like love. It was like, oh my God. I'm like, I want to do that. I don't know what that is, but I want to touch that. I want to figure that out. And so 6 months later after that tour, I attended the school. It was a 2-year degree that I finished in 1 year. It was an accelerated program. And during my time at Full Sail, I had to start thinking, what am I going to do after? Like, what's the plan? Because doing the school is one thing, but now getting the job and the career, setting that off was another. So while in school, I started to kind of think about where I wanted to end up after I graduated. Did I want to stay here in Miami, where I'm born and raised? Did I want to go to New York, because there was a music scene there, Los Angeles? Well, I decided I wanted to stay here and home base in Miami, and I started researching where I could work, and one of the places was the Hit Factory, Criteria. Yep. And so I started to reach out to the studio manager there and just kind of to inquire about a job when I would graduate 9 months later. Right. And, he didn't really take me too serious, I think, because, it's 9 months later. Who knows if a job would even be available. And
at that time, not to cut you off, but at that time, were there a lot of females in the industry doing what you were trying to do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So
I didn't think so.
Yeah, so that's
and
another
still not
thing.
Even today, really.
No, it's I think we're 3%, or maybe we're inching around the 4% mark. But not even just that. At Full Sail, our lecture class was a little over about 150 kids or something. There was only 4 females in that class. And so a lot of the instructors would tell us, would say to me, why are you choosing to go this route? Because it's a very male-dominated industry. Mm. And I was kind of well, I love music. I'm not really understanding why the gender thing has to even come up. And mind you, this is 20 plus years ago, where like the gender thing wasn't even a topic. It was, but to me, I kind of was like, well, I don't understand why this is even being said, but whatever. I carried on, and so when I graduated, I eventually got my way into getting an interview at the Hit Factory. Like at first he was like, I don't have a position open. And I was all sad. A couple of weeks later he called me. He's like, well, something opened up. Can you come in? Did the interview, got the job. And my first position at the studio was an intern, basically. It's, fancy way to say it was general assistant.
Right.
General assisting was not being in the studio.
Right.
It was running food, making nice flowers, fruit baskets, like blowing leaves in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Making coffee, like it was nothing to do with nothing. And so, I didn't clean toilets. I will say that. The Hit Factory at least had money for a cleaning staff. But if there was an issue with the toilets at like 3:00 in the morning, that was my job.
Yeah.
So yes, I was down and dirty. And it was about 2 months after I started working at the Hit Factory where I had the opportunity to work with an artist by the name of Missy Elliott. And we all know who Missy is.
Who's that?
And that was just being at the right place, right time. But, because I was working as the general assistant, it was around noon that day, like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, nobody's in there.
Nobody's there. And her team called the studio manager and was like, Missy wants to come in 15, 20 minutes. And so he's not going to tell her no.
Right.
So he calls me up to the office and is like, all he said to me, I kid you not, he said, are you ready?
Oh, I love it.
And I remember thinking like, what the heck is he asking me? What am I ready for? Like, and something in my heart just said, just say yes. Because I'm like, I'm not going to ask no more questions. The guy was intimidating. Like Trevor was, he's a very intimidating man. So I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. What's up? What do you need? And he's like, all right, cool, because Missy's will be here in the next 15 minutes, and I need you to like set up her session and her mic and her drives and da-da-da-da, everything that entailed to be an assistant in the room. Never have been an assistant in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, got it. And I just went to work. Like, just...
Were you confident in the job, like at that time?
I was confident in the job, yes. I was confident in setting up a microphone, setting up the computer, the hard drives.
So you knew everything. Like
I knew that much, yeah. I knew that much. I wasn't familiar with certain parts of the studio, but I wasn't afraid to ask questions. So I would go and ask like the tech, like I just want to make sure this is good, and they would kind of help me out. Like it wasn't like I was just out there on my own,
right?
But I did it, and after that session, everything went off without a hitch, and her team ended up calling the manager and saying like, Missy loves that girl and wants her in all her sessions from here on out.
Wow.
And mind you, I'm 2 months in, right? There's other general assistants that have been waiting their turn to get a position that have been there a year. And now Trevor's like, well, you got to do it. Like, I got to make her happy. So you're it. Like, and I'm like, okay. And I mean, the rest of my career kind of just started to unfold from there,
Right. Because she probably, opened a lot of doors too, like a lot of relationships, and you met a lot of people through her. And
I met so many different artists and producers, but the most important one was Timbaland.
Right.
I met Timbaland, and secondarily to that is my business partner to this day, which is Danja.
Yeah.
Because through Timbaland, Danja came in as a protege to Timbaland, and then I started working with Danja, and it was like it all started going. But the artists that would come through that building to work with Missy, young Alicia Keys, Beyonce. There was a group back in the day called 702, and they were big back then. So you were just like, oh, this is crazy. This is interesting, but it was insane, because it was like, I think I was pinching myself like constantly, like, because interestingly enough, in high school, when I was in high school, Missy and Timbaland came out on the scene. Like she came out with the Rain. I'm going like this because I'm thinking of the trash bag.
The big it orange suit or silver, or was it silver?
I think it was black, shiny black.
Or shiny black.
Shiny
That's
black,
right.
yeah.
She had so many different crazy videos. They're all like going through my head right now.
Yeah, and then Tim, Aaliyah was out, Genuine, so there was all this music coming out from that whole camp. And I remember me being the person that wanted to be in music. I'm like, I want to work with them. Like, I want to, like, that would be a dream for me to work with them. So the fact that the very first client that I ever worked with, like, as an assistant was Missy, and then that just followed up, naturally to Timbaland because that was her producer.
Yeah.
And we were working on the Under Construction album, which is the one that has Work It on it. So, Tim pulled up on his tour bus because that's how he traveled back then. And it was, the rest is just history, just, how it all just kind of unfolded.
You don't have to name names or anything, but any like off the top of your head, like right now, the most memorable moments in the studio from that time? Like just being because I just hear all these names. Was there any just one or two, any stories from back then that just like really stand out to you? Because like, I was in the studio a lot with different people, and like I can name like those moments. There's always like those moments where you witness something or you see something, and
I mean, obviously there's so many.
I know.
There's so many, but like I remember like when I worked with like LL Cool J.
Okay.
And we did a record called Headsprung.
Yep.
And on the Headsprung, there's towards the end, like he's like, "Hey ladies," and he needed a girl, so he's like, "Can you do it?" And so that vocal, that's me. Like,
oh, that's so cool.
That's me all stacked up, to sound like a female crowd. But just like. Again,
that's a dope moment.
LL Cool J, like I remember being a kid, asking my dad if to buy me CDs, and LL Cool J being one of them.
Right.
Like because I loved hip hop and R&B music so much. So here I am with this legend, like this hip hop legend, and he's asking me if I could be a part of the record. I mean, just saying
Doesn't get much better than that.
Even to this day, when that record comes on, I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool.
And of course, when we did like the Nelly Furtado album with Timbaland, the Loose album, I mean, that was just memorable on so many aspects because it was just so organic the way we produced, we produced that album. We had microphones connected everywhere, like not just in the vocal booth. We had them in the control room. We had them in the lounge. There's parts in her album, like in the transitions between songs, where we were like miking up, like cars pulling up, like, we were just being like crazy engineers, like, because there was another engineer in the room by the name of Demo, and we were given free reign to do whatever we wanted. Like, so we were just like, all right, this is the dream come true. And, one night we had Chris Martin from Coldplay come by, and I think Good Things Come to an End or something like that is the name of the song. But, he did the vocals right then and there, like, and he was actually in, his band was in West Palm Beach at the amphitheater doing a show that night.
Yeah.
So we all went to the show, and then at the end of the show, like, we went back to the studio, and then he comes to the studio at like 2 a.m. And we're all just like kicking it, hanging out, and we play him this one song idea that she had, which is Good Things Come to an End. And the next thing you know, like we're recording Chris Martin vocals,
right.
So it's things like that where, you think you have a session for one thing, and then all of a sudden it's like some random person walks in, and it's just like, all right, we're doing this, know. Things like that, like Jay-Z, Dirt Off Your Shoulders, I think is always cool because I remember that particular beat. Actually, I know there's a documentary out there like that shows it, but those beats were. Also shown to Ludacris.
Yeah. I heard those stories.
Yeah, so it's like, it's interesting to see how it all panned out or whatever, but just witnessing Jay in the booth was phenomenal.
Because he does everything right off the dome.
Yeah. I mean, best rapper alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Jay-Z fan. So just seeing that was just like, what the heck? What is this? This is... Again, pinch me, So
that's dope.
Yeah.
And who have you learned the most from in terms of your craft? Or have you had any kind of mentors or people that like have shown you the way, even not even from a technical standpoint, but even from physical, spiritual, emotional, anything? Like who would you say are your biggest mentors? So
what I will say on technical perspective, I feel there's an engineer by the name of Jimmy Douglas.
Okay.
That he was the engineer that worked with Timbaland and Missy from the days that they were working in the basements in Rochester, New York. Like he's been doing he did all the early Missy albums and Timbaland albums. Like he's a legend. Like everybody knows Jimmy Douglas in the music world. And not necessarily like he put his arm around me and was like, I'm gonna, it was more of where he just allowed me to just be a witness to his process without like making me feel like anything like other than like, some engineers get weird. They're like, can you wait outside the room? I'm like, oh, okay, thanks,
Right.
But he just allowed me to just be a student in the back of the room. And for that, like, he allowed me to ask questions, and I back when I started, there were no women to look up to, and there really wasn't a community like that where people were willing to just give out free knowledge, to be honest, because I think, I feel like it's such a dinosaur when I say back in the day, but in those days, like people were very like afraid of like someone taking their job.
Yeah.
Like these were very like sacred positions. So nobody was really willing to like just give out information like it's given today, So, but like I say, I always credit Jimmy to being a mentor because he did allow me to be a student in the back of the room, and he did allow me to like just watch him and ask the questions at times when I felt like it was appropriate. From a spiritual, in the music business, from just a spiritual, mature level, believe it or not, even though he's like 6 months younger than me,
yeah,
it would be Danja.
Yeah.
He's just always had such an amazing like head on his shoulders.
He has an old spirit though. So.
I know, but like, even when I was like whacked out of my mind, like, just not like in any way, but just like, I don't know, like we're very different. That's one thing about him and I. We're so different. Like I'm loud, he's not. Like I'm talkative, he's more quiet. Like he doesn't express anger like I might. I do. I just have more attitude, and there's times where it has shown up in a business sense where he's just like, oh, like take a step back. You gotta look at yourself. Like you're a businesswoman. And mind you, like I got in this business at the same time pretty much as him. We were in our early 20s. So I had to, with no one to really show me the ropes, I made a lot of mistakes, just on ways that I would react.
Right.
And I had to kind of be like, I had to kind of watch him. And it's crazy. Like, not because he's younger doesn't mean that he's not entitled to like, but like, it's just like, wow. He just had always, like you said, like an old spirit. And when it finally clicked to me, it was just like I would just see him as like a guiding light, through the rest of the years and currently to this day.
Yeah, how's it been being business partners? Y'all teamed up 2009? Is that like business wise? Like
so business wise, I would say like 2005, 6.
Okay.
Yeah, 2005, 6 when we finished. When he finished Future Sex Love sound album with Justin Timberlake. I was kind of finishing the Carrie Hilson album around that time because he was put on that project. I was put on with Carrie Hilson, and after that, like they Timberland and JT wanted to go on tour, and we were kind of like, well, that's not really like. I had no life. I had no want to be on tour.
Right.
Didn't care for it. Didn't want. Even if there was a position available, I knew that wasn't my place. I didn't want that. So, and he didn't want that. So eventually, we had so much success off of the Nelly Furtado album. He was having so much success off the JT album. And then we had done the Shock Value 1 Timberland album at the time. And there was so much buzz going around on who produced, mixed, engineered these records. And a lot of the names came up, Danja and I. So people started calling. The phone started ringing, the Britney Spears, the Chris Browns, the Ushers, Pink, So it just started to like... So that was around 2005, 2006.
Okay.
And, we would have to start flying to LA, to Vegas, to New York, to Atlanta. And that was the beginning of a freelance career for me. It was just like...
So like, just so people understand, so Danja's like the producer.
Right.
And then you're the engineer.
I'm the engineer,
on
correct.
The records.
On the records, yep. So he'd be the one behind the music, playing everything. I'd be the one coming in to record not just him, but the artist. And kind of just bring all those pieces together. And then eventually I would end up mixing those records. For a very long time, I was behind all the recording and the mixing on the same records, which...
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and I don't recommend it to most... Like, it was not my most favorite thing. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
let's talk about, can you talk about your persistence to get you where you are today? Because, you even said it, like there was moments where you kind of got in your own way with your personality or what have you, you know what I mean? And,
yeah.
But I think that, I would say people ask me all the time, like how I got to where I am today. And I always talk about the consistency and commitment of showing up every day. What do you think, or share a little bit about that? You've been in this game and a long time. Mm-hmm. I would like to think, just like artists, people come and go in the industry. Not everybody makes it.
Yeah.
Probably we just did a podcast with Lunch Money. He was talking about like a lot of people do really well and then they drop off and they can't find the success again.
Right.
So what would you say has kept you in the game this long? And then also like why there's been pretty consistent success. Also, I'm sure there's been some obstacles and setbacks, but what do you give the credit to that to? Like where does that come from?
Yeah. So I think for me, what I've learned is when I have a passion for this.
Yeah.
Like I love what I do and I care about what I do. When I first started out, like there wasn't social media. There wasn't all this like, let me broadcast what I do, right? I was just doing it.
Yep.
I wanted, my goal was, I wanted to be the best engineer. And it goes to saying like what I was saying before is like, when people bring up like the gender aspect of it, like, oh my God, you're a woman engineer? Like, wow, like that's amazing. I haven't met. I'm like, okay, great. Like, what made you want to do it as a woman? I'm like, what? I'm like, it's an engineering job. Like, right, I'm not doing anything. Like, it's not like I need to, use male parts to do what I'm doing. Like,
and you don't get those questions if you were a lawyer.
Exactly.
And I'll say, oh, you're a woman lawyer?
Wow.
Like, nobody says that.
Right.
So it's super weird.
So it drives me bananas.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I've always sought out to be the best engineer and just really work on my craft. And, one of the best things that I love about my job is the constant evolution of technology, because you're always having to learn. You cannot stay, you cannot like just sit and be like, who I was in 2010 and who I was in 2017 cannot be who I am today in 2024.
Right.
And go on and moving on, because technology is changing and you have to keep your finger on the pulse at all times. So for me, it's exciting. And I've always wanted to just make sure that, I've always been ahead of the curve of it all. I enjoy it. To me, it's just something that I love. And most importantly, I don't like to lose. I've never was an athlete growing up because guess what? I grew up in a very strict Latin family and my parents didn't let me play sports. Yeah. But I know that if I was able to play sports, I probably would have been an Olympian. Yeah. I just have that like mindset to like want to win. Like I want to win all the time. Even if they're small wins, they don't have to be big wins. Like for me, having a Grammy, like I'm actually don't even have a Grammy. I've been Grammy nominated, but I don't physically have a Grammy. Yeah. I've gotten ASCAP awards, I've gotten great notoriety, but I've never gotten what I feel like people think is like the pinnacle of it all in the music business, which is a Grammy. For me, I just think like I've been able to be, what you said, so successful in 20 plus years without missing a beat. Like it's never that I exited and came back. It's always been like I've been at the top of my game. And I really just credit that to just making sure that I never lose sight of what's going on out there musically, like where the sound is going, just being able to be a personable person. Part of being in the music business as well is not just being in the studio and working on records. It's like you got to be able to be out there and talk to the right people, shake the right hands,
right.
And even oblige some of the people that are coming up.
Right.
Because to me, those are the people that I really love to work with sometimes, because I have seen it time and time again. They started from the bottom and now they're here, right? It's like, and I don't, just because you're not like a big artist that's signed to a major record label doesn't, I don't just put them off because it's like, oh, sorry, like, I'm kind of top of my game. No, it's kind of like, if I like your music and your music speaks to my soul, I'm going to work with you.
Yeah.
If I like your energy, I'm going to work with you. And I think a lot of people can walk around this music business and say, Marcella, like, she's dope. Like, she's this. She's like, I'm just a really like, when it comes to the business, I'm very business, like, and it's like, I don't really get caught up now. I don't get caught up anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm really just about like making sure the experience is good. From the conversation we have from a pre-production conversation all the way to when we're finalizing a record. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that my craft is really shown. And, I just have great clients. And I just love, when I have a record that comes out on the radio or just gets released. And it's like, damn, that's cool, because every record that I work on is a part of music history forever.
Yep.
And, that was one thing that I said to myself. I remember when I would go to these colleges and I'd say, I just want to be a part of music history. I would tell these colleges that, and they're like, well, that's great and everything, but you don't play an instrument, so sorry, we can't offer you nothing. And I'm like, dang. So being able to be in a position where I can really contribute in some way creatively is like, I just think I have a cool job. Okay. And I don't want to get away from that, and my son thinks I have a cool job too, so I'm I'm winning.
Heck yeah. And you can do it forever.
I can do it. Well, I can.
To a certain degree. You know what I mean? Like,
I can.
You can do it as long as you want to do it.
I can do it as long as I want to do it. And I have control of my schedule, my life. Like, that's one thing that I'm able to really just be on my own terms with everything that I do, which is great. Like I remember my son asked me a couple months ago, like, he said something like, Mom, why do you love to do what you do, or something like to that way? I can't remember. And I said, to be really honest, I just love being my own boss. I don't have to answer it. And he's like, well, what does that mean? I said, trust me.
You'll find out.
You will find out.
Yep.
But remember, like, I don't work for no one. It's like I work for myself. I have business partner, but that's not, like we partner in business.
Right.
And collaborate on music and stuff like that. But there's no better feeling than to just, I don't have to like, I'm out sick today. I'm sorry. Exactly. It's like, or whatever. I don't have to answer to nobody. And that's just a good feeling. So I think the persistence just comes from just wanting to not fail and making sure that I keep that fire burning that I've had since I was a little girl, and I do that by just staying on top of what's going on in technology with this crazy, world.
So talk about the technology, because is there anything, and it's obvious that technology is just going crazy right now.
Right.
Is there anything from the past that you like enjoy doing that now like technology took over? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to love working on a console, but it's kind of I can.
And the console's that big,
the big,
thing
yeah,
when
the
you
big
walk
desk,
in,
the big desk,
board
yeah, the big
yeah.
board. I have one in my studio. It's an SSL 9000J, but back in the day, I would mix records and you would see the entire song out on the board. I have a 72 channel SSL at my studio, and I would use them all. Anywhere between 48 channels to up to 72, but like you could walk in the studio and you would see like kick channels, there was a kick, there was a snare, there's vocals, there's effects. Like, I love that. Well, now, guess what? Everybody's now in the box. What's in the box? It's working within the computer only. So I use Pro Tools to work. And so now, basically the console is Pro Tools. So the multi-track and everything is inside the computer. So I'm basically only working out of 2 channels. And
now, I'm assuming it makes it faster though, right? Or no?
I mean, what it is, yes and no. Yes and no. Because when you're working on all analog, it's not just a console, but you're also, there's like outboard gears that you're using. So then you're having to patch stuff in and, I'm going to use this and I'm going to use that. So yes, it's a little more time consuming as opposed to in Pro Tools, all you're doing is using emulations of those hardware gear that I have in the walls, but just pulling them up as a plugin and just saying like, I'm going to use this, so it's like everything's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So yes, it's faster. But the other thing is when you're working on a console and you do a mix per se, right? And then all of a sudden you're done with the mix, you're like, great, I'm going to print it. Well, guess what? if the artist decides in like 3 weeks, like, oh, I recut some vocals, and I added this and I added that. Well, now in the past, you would have to recall everything back on the console. Well, that's not realistic because you can never really get the mix back the same every time. So now with being in the box, all you do is open up the session and everything is right there.
Oh, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a good
That is a
aspect.
good thing,
Yeah.
but there's something about working like just that hands-on, like with your hands on the fader, turning knobs and
exactly.
getting up out of the chair and, working on like things. Like I love that aspect,
Right.
So
do you do that anymore or is it out of the back?
no, I do. So I was just going to say, there are instances where I do work in a hybrid situation where I'll maybe subgroup some things. So I'm only using maybe about 8 to 12 channels on the board. And so I'm just subgrouping things like drums, keys, lead vocals, background vocals, like those kind of like groups. Mm-hmm. And I'm putting them all through the board. And then I might run some things out to the outboard gear and then print it back into Pro Tools. Like it's just some things that I do as engineering stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can get all geeky and stuff. But there are times, but it's, you realize technology has kind of helped you save some time. It's like, oh, well, what else?
And I would say, is there anything technology-wise from a, like, vocally, like, is it, do you find it to be like, it's taking over some of the talent, like when it comes to singing and...
Well, everybody knows what's taking over the talent. It's been around for a long
for a
time.
while.
Yeah.
But is it kind of like, are you ever in a session going like, wow, like, in your head, you're like, wow, this, I'm gonna have to really fix this.
Yes. I was just in one the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, people really lean on the tune to be an artist now. I know artists that sing amazing and still use tune, but it's not like they're using it. They're more just using it to just, to be honest, maybe they're just a little lazy and don't want to perfect it. But I'm not mad at those artists. I'm mad at the artists that like really just can't
sing.
and they're just like, they're put it on all the way high. And I'm like, oh God, now you sound so computerized and just sound so weird. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's, there's technology out there. And I mean, obviously the new thing, AI, that's where people are really cheating because they're just able to like input a sound that they like. They can, I want a funk type artist to sound like Aretha Franklin. And then all of a sudden like this voice comes out.
Oh my God.
And it's not Aretha, but it's a
Right.
So obviously the future, I think, we're gonna see a lot of digitized artists.
Yeah.
Like almost like the Gorillas.
Mm.
Remember the Gorillas? You never saw them.
Right.
They would all be like cartoon. I think there's gonna be a lot of that, like where we're gonna really see a bunch of artificial intelligence.
And
artists.
as a music lover, because I'm one of those
yes,
too.
I know.
It's
gonna drive you nuts.
Well, let me ask you this though, like, because I hear different opinions on this. So, how like our generation is like, the 90s were like the best ever. Like comparing today's music and where it's going to back and, our day or whatever you want to say at our peak. And, and even like old school, like I've gotten into going back and listening to a lot of like blues and old school music.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you see it? Like, where do you see music today? I know that's a broad question, but it's like...
I mean, music today is very uninspiring. I'm not all of it,
right?
But a lot of it. Like it's like there's still some artists out there that are really doing great music, and credits to them, like artists like obviously like a Bruno Mars to me still does great music. Teddy Swims, which is like my newest love of a artist that. He's just so talented and it's just like that pure raw talent, but there's just so much like crap out there, and the thing is record labels don't even care. They don't care because the crap, if it's going to, for them, it's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. So if the algorithm is showing that it works, they're going to sign it. They're going to back it up. They're going to, and it's screwing with the integrity of music, of what is considered to be good music to even be released.
Right.
You know, streaming services came into play, which there's positive and negatives to it. I'm not like, listen, I love a streaming service. Like I do. Like I like the playlists. I like those kind of things, but I get it. Like, you know, it's just the amount of music that is just being put out on a daily, whether it's a big DSP, you know, streaming service, or it's like SoundCloud. It's just too much. It's like you cannot consume it. So what's happening too? You get artists that are doing these great masterpieces of music, but nobody can consume them for more than 5 seconds because they're on to the next, you know? Right. Unless you're like people like us, right? When we said the 90s or whatever, right. We really appreciate music, right? So when we hear records that really feel good to us, we're going to give it the time of day. We're going to give it the plays. We're going to like... Did you
listen to the Marcus King?
I didn't, not yet. I knew you were going to ask me, but not yet.
So I've been like, and I swear it's like, sometimes I feel like my parents, because it's like, you know, I loved rap and hip hop, but like lately, I mean, for the last probably like 3 or 4 years, it's been more country and like alternative and even like bluegrass, like just off like totally different, you know, genres. And so Zach Bryan is like my favorite right now. But I came across Marcus King. Yeah. And his new album, like it's been just on repeat. And to your point, like I'm taking the time to listen to the totality of the album. Exactly. Not like, oh, I like this song. This, right. And then switch around or even like, oh, I like this part. Right. No, I'm listening from start to finish the album. Exactly. Paying attention to the writing, to the words, to the melodies, to the like everything. You know?
There's no better thank yous to an artist for that. If you can like listen, like that's what they want. They don't want you to skip over their album and you only listened to 3, didn't hit you, so you moved on. Yeah. And that's what it is. And that's what a lot of artists, I mean, if you see, not so much like the legacy artists, but like a lot of artists, they only put out like a 5-6 song EP because they know people are not consuming the music like that. So they don't want to put in the time. So, you know, like I hate to see it, but, you know, there's still artists out there that are being able to grasp the consumer's ear to say, you know what, that's an amazing artist. And the testament is when they go on the road.
I was about to say, it's live. It's like live, when they're live.
And they're sold out. Yep. Like I'm actually trying to get into a Teddy Swim show. I can't get it. Yeah, they're all sold out.
Yeah, no, he's ridiculous.
He's so ridiculous. And I'm like, gosh, I really want this.
Like, it was funny because is it Bet on Fire? Is that the strip is it that the name of the song? Bet on Fire?
From Teddy Swims?
Yeah. I think so, right? Oscar, check that out. Anyways, that song, you know, it's a hilarious song.
I think you're right. Yeah,
because it's like a breakup song, but it's unbelievable. Like, you know, and the strip version is just crazy. It's Bet on Fire. So it was funny because I got one of my good friends, Dustin, on the song. His girlfriend kept being like, do we have to listen to this song? You know what I mean? Because it's like, and then I had another Either Way by Chris Stapleton.
Oh, there's another artist.
It's probably one of the greatest vocally songs like ever. Like it's I mean, also he's got several. So, but that one is just incredible, but it's a breakup song too. So it's like, you know, it's like, but it's good music is good music. And sometimes the music that has to do with, you know, breakups or low moments is sometimes the best music because there's so much soul to it.
Listen, if something can, the problem is I feel like today is people don't even know how to feel anymore because there's so many things coming at them at once. People are just like, they don't even know. Yep. Should I be sad? Should I be mad? Like they don't even know. So
it's because they're staring at a screen. They're staring at a screen.
So that, you know, you can't even, like some people, like I do a Pilates class, right? It's like solid core. And one of the things that I love at the beginning and the end of the classes is that the instructors will say, like, look to your left, look to your right, and say hi to your neighbor, introduce yourself. And at the end of the class, say, look to your left, look to your right, like tell your neighbor, high five them, say good job. Sometimes like I'm quick to like look, these people are like looking down, like they don't even want to high five. And I'm like, you're so weird. You know, like the problem is people don't even know how to be personal anymore. So when music can really just cut through to your heart and pull on those heartstrings, I want that. Right. I want that. Like I want to be an emotional person. Yeah. Because you're like we're meant to be emotional. Yeah. You know, I mean, to an extent, like we're not like go fall off the deep end, but like we're supposed to be happy. Yep. We're supposed to feel pain.
Well, music's supposed to move you.
It's supposed to move you. Like that's the music that I want to hear. You know. But I'm with you. Like, I love hip hop, I love rap, but in that world, come on, there's nothing coming out that's like really like.
Well, and the problem that I see in the hip hop world is that they stopped telling stories.
Right.
Like that's why we loved hip hop is they told their story.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes it was crazy stories, but it was a story.
It was a story.
Like and then you could like their albums. Remember there were skits and like it just made sense. Like you could listen to a whole album and it like made sense.
Right.
Like know now it's like they're just trying to, like you said, hit a TikTok video to go.
It's an algorithm.
It's like something to go viral or whatever. So
it makes my skin crawl when people want to like there was a record recently that I can't even remember, but I was telling my boyfriend, I was like telling him like, because he liked the song, that's what it was. Actually, I'm not even gonna say the artist, but we were like driving along and the song came on and it was like a pop record, but it was like an R&B pop record, and so I moved on. I'm like, and he's like, why'd you switch it? I like that song, and I'm like because I don't like it because I know it was written with the intention to be a hit. Like it has all like
because there's a
formula
to it.
And I feel and I hear it and it drives me nuts. The beat is cool, but I don't want to hear it because the song is cool. I mean, like the messaging, but I know what it was made for. So therefore I can't connect with it. Like I don't want to connect with it. It has like I'm repulsed by it.
Yeah.
And so like.
So who that's not around today, if you could hear them live today, would you want to hear?
Oh, that's a great question. Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse, yeah.
Talk about moving.
My gosh.
She would be incredible. And also like do it in like a hole in the wall bar.
I mean, that's the only way. I don't want to see her at the American Airlines Arena.
No, exactly.
No.
You got to see her in a rusty old bar in London or something. Yeah, exactly.
Like a little pub.
Right, That's exactly. Yeah. That's one of my, like dreams or whatever, is I want to see Chris Stapleton in that environment.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he'll ever do that again, but that would be so cool.
I think someone like him would.
Yeah.
I got to actually see Prince that way in LA.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was, Prince would always do these like crazy impromptu shows out of nowhere, and like a text message would go off in your phone, and it's like tonight at the Sayers Club. Like that's where he did it in LA. It was Sayers Club. And be there at 11 o'clock or whatever.
And
so
the guitar, the whole nine.
It was just so I didn't know what to expect.
He's the sickest guitarist.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to expect. So, and Danja can tell you this story too because it was the funniest thing. So like crazy, like we show up to the Sayers, a bunch of people that we know from the business is in there. We're like, oh, what's up? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, LA shuts down like at 2,
right, Yeah.
So we're like, man, like, where's Britt? Everybody at this point has had a lot to drink. And I'm sitting on the couch, like, kind of at this point, I'm like, man, like, I don't think he's coming on tonight because it's already like 1 o'clock or almost 1. And all of a sudden, like, I see somebody come out on the stage. Like, it looked like a tech. It looked like a guitar tech. And it, like, he just starts, like, fiddling with the guitar, like, ding, ding, ding. And I'm like, but I didn't pay really no mind. Like I saw it, but I didn't like think it was Prince. So I was just like, okay. Cause I thought like when he would come out, it'd be like this big grand, like, dearly beloved, right. Like it was gonna be this moment.
Right.
So all of a sudden Nate was like, is that Prince? And I look and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, it's Prince. And he's just like tuning his guitar. And then he gets on the mic and he's like he just starts starts playing and everybody's like, oh shoot. Nobody was ready for the guy. The guy plays for an hour and 10 minutes and does the most phenomenal show ever.
Wow.
And then walks off the stage and leaves.
I just recently got invited to a party, and this was probably about a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. And Pink Sweats performed on the spot, like just a guitar, and then he started asking questions. There was like 50 of us there.
Wow.
And he started asking questions, and then he freestyled songs based off of our answers.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was like ridiculous.
Yo, he's so dope.
And he's so
dope.
cold. Like he was just, talk about like authentic and smart too. Like I love his branding.
Right.
Like just what a genius.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? That's like very intelligent stuff.
And that's the thing. See, someone like him, he's very much about the craft. So he's not so much trying to chase, whatever it is that's going out there. He's going to make great music. And there's something to that because when he does tour, he's going to have a loyal following for life, you know? I love him.
Yeah, he's really, who else now, like who's out now that like in that world, in that hip hop world that you feel like is
this is where I get stuck because this is like who is out there?
I know.
And it's like who else is out there?
It's tough. In that world, it's tough. Like I could go off on like the other, genres and stuff. There's a lot of incredible artists. That people are not listening to because the songs are like 6 minutes and 7 minutes. Like, God forbid you listen to a 6 minute song.
Sorry, hip hop. I can do better, and I can have an answer.
And then who's your all time favorite back in the day?
In what genre?
Let's say rap. Well, you said Jay-Z. Is it your favorite?
Jay-Z, yeah. Group wise, would have probably been Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved everything Wu-Tang. Man, I was throwing up that woo. Singer, Whitney Houston. I was a big Whitney Houston fan. I'm Your Baby Tonight was the first album I ever bought as a kid. Yeah. Like I didn't buy. My parents gifted it to me because I had straight A's, and they asked me like, what do you want? I was like, Whitney Houston. And so yeah, I was a big Whitney fan. Like I love vocalists. Mm-hmm. I mean, even I remember Mariah Carey's Visions of Love. What a classic album. Right. But she'll never perform any of those records, so that's a graveyard album for her.
I mean, they stand out.
They stand out to me because I just remember like that CD. It was literally one of the first CDs. Mm-hmm. Whitney Houston's I'm Your Baby Tonight and Madonna's Like a Prayer albums were the first albums that I like.
What do you think about Madonna still touring and stuff? It's a little weird, right?
I love you, Madonna, but sit down.
I mean, we love her to death, but it's like you gotta just stop. It looks freaky.
I'm just.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess if you got it, you got it. But I don't know. Do you got it still? Like, I don't know. It's kind of.
I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot on the eyes for me. I mean, like I'm.
But to each his own.
Yeah, to each his own. Power to you.
I mean,
Madonna.
who are we to tell Madonna what to do?
Listen, no, you can't. Are you kidding me?
What power do you feel that comes from making music behind the scenes rather than being kind of front and center? So, like, and I know you said like when you hear one of your songs that like kind of gives you a lot of, but like lean into that a little bit more. Like, how does it feel to be? You're a star in your own right, but maybe you don't get the applause that maybe others do for the work that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not like, I love being recognized as for the job that I do. I've never been one to like us to be on the stage. Like, that's another thing about my story that I didn't mention earlier. When I was in middle school, I thought I wanted to sing. I thought I could sing. I started doing all these like shows and like, there was this one that I did. It was an American Bandstand production.
You did
American Bandstand. And I sang a song. I sang many songs, but there was one from the 80s, What a Feeling. So, in the beginning of that song, it's just like, dun, 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 and it's just like the voice. Right. And I'm not going to sing now because it would sound terrible. And so I get on this stage and it's just like the lights are off. It's just like one spotlight on me and I freeze.
No way.
I could not get over the stage fright. And they had to restart it, the intro, like, because I missed the cue. So then they had to replay it, and then I started singing, and my voice was like I got through it, but I literally cried my eyes out after that, and I said, "This is not for me. I hate the stage." So all that to say, I knew that, right? Right. I want to be behind the scenes. Obviously, I love getting credit for what I do. Yeah. But to be to see whoever the artist or whoever is, behind whoever the song is, like, I love to see the success of that. Like, to me, it's like a testament to my work as well. It's a team effort. It's not, that's the one thing is like when a song is really successful, what people have to understand is it's not the success of like the popularity of that artist, right? Like a Ariana Grande. Like, no, there's writers behind her. There are engineers, there's producers, and all of this is the power that comes together that ends up making it the hit that it is. And I think, obviously consumers don't see that, know that. It's people that really understand what goes on behind the scenes that like, wow, like, that's like, this is my favorite producer. Oh my God, Marcella touched this. Like, I know this is going to be fire, but like otherwise all people know about is the marquee name. But for me, like, I love being a part of something and not necessarily having to be the marquee person being announced on it either. You know, it's like I'm okay with it. I get gratification from just like being able to see the success and hearing it, like I said, in random places, or when it just happens to come on the radio, or somebody will text me like, "Oh, I heard the song you worked on." You know, it's like, all right, cool. You know, my favorite part about what I do is being able to give back. What, you know, like now, like I love working with the younger generation of engineers and producers. You know, like, to me, that's where I get so much like love. Like, I love what I do even more because I'm able to teach. I'm able, and not just necessarily engineering, but like life. You know, you see these kids and they look so scared. And they're like, oh, I just don't know if I'll, you know, like if it's going to be for me, or I don't know if I'm going to make it. And it's just like allowing them to like, look, take the pressure off you, you know, one step at a time. Like the good thing is, you know what you want. That's the end goal. Now understanding how to get there step by step,
right.
Not skipping the steps, and really making them understand what that is. Not, the overnight success thing is not what you want. You want to be able to grind essentially from the bottom and
right.
come up, because for me, I found that through my experience, I got to learn the business through and through, like artist management, you know, songwriting, publishing. Like there's so many aspects to the music business. Even though I'm an engineer, the knowledge that I have goes beyond me being in the studio. You know, so for me to be able to kind of go back and kind of put it all, you know, in some type of presentation and let them know, like, look, like, it's okay. There's a lot to this, but take it step by step, day by day, and you know, just giving them that confidence, helping them build their confidence is like one of my favorite things. Like, I love doing it.
Are you doing anything like specific, like workshops or anything? Yeah,
so right now I'm working with different organizations to do them. Like we are moving the needle is one of them. Girls Make Beats. What else? She Is the Music. So I do so many different workshops with them, whether it's like panels, keynotes, you know, actual workshops where I'm in the studio kind of showing them certain skills and whatnot. Right. And then I take those relationships when I meet them in these particular events, and they become mentees of mine. You know, like, I literally have mentees that I've been working with for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Some that were starting off in high school, went into college, and now are in full blown, like, I'm engineering now. Like, yeah. Like, this is great, you know? And, you know, one thing, especially with women in the business, a lot of women are very scared of seeing if they're able to do it all. Meaning, can I be a mom? Or, you know, I want to be a mom, but I just don't know because I feel like, you know, it's going to be hard. And it's like, listen, we can do it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's an absolute, like, no doubt in my mind that we can do it. Like, we can be moms, we can be producers, writers, engineers, artists. We can do it all. We see people doing it. But I think there's still such a stigma of you know, like, it being such a male-dominated industry that a lot of women are just, like, afraid that they feel like if they go and start a family, that they're going to lose their position. Right. You know, they're going to lose all the hard work that they went into to get to where they're at. And, you know, my answer to that is always like, you always have to remain a student of the craft. Mm-hmm. You know, you always have to be able to, you know, if you take time off, you still have to be able to understand what's going on currently in the world of technology, in the world of music. You know, your conversations have to, you know, kind of be, you know, up to date. And, you know, it's just really kind of building them up. And I think that's just such an important part, because there is a part of this business that will really kick you, especially when you're down, and it makes you feel like, I can't do this. Mm. I've been there. I have been there. Like, I am not an all success. Yeah. You know, there's been a lot of times where I've been, like, kicked down, or I have felt like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. This was a lot, you know. I've been in situations where, you know, as a woman in the studio with a lot of guys, you know, how do you handle getting hit on? How do you handle guys, you know, crossing a boundary, like those kind of things, you know? And those kind of things would make me like really second guess, like, like, do I really want to do this, But essentially it was really trying to figure out, how to not have to deal with those people, and there's allies out there, like one thing is I always tell, especially the up and coming women, there's allies out there that will help you, like I didn't have allies, there was a situation that I was in at the Hit Factory at one point. And thankfully I did, the one ally I did have was the studio manager. I ended up telling him about it, and he made sure that I was never around that guy ever again. So it's like, there are people, there are good people, there are good actors out there. There's bad people, but there's more good than bad. Right. I will say, like, there's people out there. You just have to find your team, and just keep your eye on the prize. The prize is, if what you want to do is write songs and write great songs. Don't deviate so far off and far left where people can't identify what you're doing or what you want to do. If you want to be a great engineer, do that, Don't try to like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer, but now I'm going to also try to be an artist. Like, it's right. Like, well, you kind of have to pick your lane, know? Otherwise, people won't take you serious. The only way people can take you serious is if you are doing what you set out to do, and you're doing it with success.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, people give up too soon on, it takes 10 years to be a master at anything.
Yeah.
And people want to be great in 6 months, like
so quick.
And so you got to allow yourself to grow into what you're becoming.
Yeah.
And then it never stops. And then
right.
once you arrive or think you arrive, then you
right.
got to learn, especially in your industry, like you said, keeping up with technology. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
How has being a mom, like, has it changed anything, like, in you in terms of how you go about your business now? Has it, like, just talk a little bit about motherhood and work.
Motherhood is my best job.
Yes.
That is, like, I love being a mom. I wish I had like a bunch of them, believe it or not. But so yeah, I mean, I have my son, and he's incredible. Like, I what has changed is I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And when I became a mom, one thing for sure is I wanted to be a very present, hands-on mom. And how I was going to make that happen in a career that was so demanding on time was figuring out, like, what can I do, right? Like, I had to set boundaries. As simple as, thank God these iPhones have these focus modes now, like, where my phone goes into like silent mode after a certain time. Like, I'm not going to be answering your midnight call to tell me that you have an idea or you want to change something in a mix. Like, that's right. Just like, that's a boundary, because you know what? I need to sleep. My kid needs to sleep. I'm very meticulous on how I set up my travel around, based on him, because, he's older now too, so at 10 years old, he's in these travel basketball teams, and I don't want to miss him.
Right.
So I'm very, like, when things come up and I have to leave, and it's like, all right, what's going on? And so I try to travel more towards the end of the weekends when he's not playing. That way I can be around for school time, so I can help him with homework, and I can help with things that really, these are his formative years. I don't want to be absent, and, it's just allowed me to really take on work that is going to be healthy for me, like in every aspect. From what I'm working on, like, I need to make sure it's not going to be some song that's just not speaking to my soul.
Right.
I don't know. I've been patient, more patient than ever. My last 10 years of life being a mom, I've grown this, like, more calm Sella, like, and I think a lot of that is just a testament to having a child. There's no handbook to it, right? It's like, things happen, good and bad. It's like, oh my God, you did this, and you celebrate it, and then there's things that you just want to, like, either like, oh, want to choke you, or then they get sick, and it's just like, okay, and you put things in perspective, and for me, the most important thing is God, family. Like, that's it for me. It's like, that's music business is somewhere here, Right. I mean, I make a living off of it, but the craziest thing was, I remember when I first became a mom, I was so scared with this approach, like to set up the boundaries, to do. I thought like, oh my God, like I'm gonna get blackballed. Like I'm like, no one's gonna want to work with me because it's gonna be like, I work like from like 10 a.m. to like 5, 6 p.m. You know, because I want to be home, I want to make dinner, like, and so when I, you know, now that I'm mixing, yeah, I have my own hours. I can work these hours and it's not a problem. But sometimes like clients are like in a different part of the world and I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm going to have to like come in like later, you know? And you know, you carve out those special moments, but you don't make a habit of it.
Right.
You know, and I make decisions just literally off of being a mom. I'm a single mom too. So that's another thing. Like I'm a single mom. So it's not easy, you know. I do have a boyfriend. I have a partner that helps now, but like I'm a single mom.
Right. Exactly. You're still single mom. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. It's changed me for the better. I will say that. It's changed me for the better. Even though the days that he drives me nuts. I know your kids are still small.
Yeah.
Just wait till they just wait. I wasn't expecting this.
When did it start to get
I'll say around like 8.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Start getting a little toot on him?
It just was like, what'd you just say?
Yeah.
Like,
Who you're talking to?
Yeah, what? You know, and then, you know, he loves music. Like, he loves listening to music. And I'm not, I don't like for him to listen to like bad, like, you know, like vulgar music. But obviously there's some things that I'm like, listen, it is what it is. As long as it's not like, F this and F that.
Right.
You know, I love bad bitches. And it's like, you know, like that's my fucking problem. Like, I don't like, okay, well, turn that off.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, if you hear a record and it's like a word being dropped, I'm not one of those like helicopter moms that's like, where's the clean version?
Right.
I'm like, listen, I know you're listening to the words. You're playing sports. You're hearing it. Like, you try to protect him from a lot, but eventually you realize like what he knows is we don't use those words.
Right.
You know, and we don't repeat them. You know, that they're used for artistic expression, but they're not used to be as in conversation to people.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guide them. You know that things are going to happen, but you got to put that knowledge in them all the time. It's a constant. It's an everyday. You know, it's an everyday thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing. So
no days off.
No days off. Woo! How are the babies? How's the girl?
She's good. She's I tell people the soundtrack of my life right now is the you know, so we're in that.
Remind me her name. You said
Sage.
Seven and
Phoenix.
Sage. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I mean Seven's like amazing. Just the happiest joy. He's so joyful.
Handsome.
Like he's super handsome. Looks like my wife, thank God.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Sage looks like me. So
what?
Yeah,
oh, I need to see.
But yeah, we're just you know, you go through these seasons in life. Like my wife and I talk about it. Like we're just in a new season right now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's like it's kind of like me and Seven, and then her and Sage right now. You know, because Sage
she's
is
a baby,
on the boob, and you know, I try to do as much as I can for Seven right now to you know, lighten up the load on her.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think like the personality is starting to come out too. So, you know, the first 3 months they're like, they're just like you know. So now, like when I come home, she like smiles, and then she's slowly starting to like make noises. So like, you know, but not just screaming noises, but like, you know, mom, you know, like little humming stuff. So, but I was telling Legend this morning, like the only way she relaxes with me though is me pounding on her back.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, you're like doing this for like hours, you know? God. So yeah, she's going to be a little feisty one, I can tell. But,
man.
But it's going to be interesting.
God bless them.
So, but 2 is going to be fun.
Oh.
So, but I love it. I mean, it's it brings a new intentionality to life. Like trying to be more intentional in everything.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're learning from us. So it's often not what we tell them, it's what we show them.
Right.
So they're seeing what we do. So you got to make sure that whatever you're showing them, they're learning something that is good.
Right. Yeah.
And you got to be aware of that because they're always paying attention. And so that's why I'm just trying to be more intentional with everything, especially around them. on that topic, what kind of legacy are you intentionally trying to leave when it comes to music?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, the legacy is really what I've been doing. I feel I am a woman pioneer. I wasn't the first, but I definitely feel like I'm in that very small, when I started, it was extremely even more smaller, but just really breaking the barriers as a woman in music. You know, as crazy as that is, for whatever reason that makes headlines, but I love the fact that I've been able to be a name, a person for other people to look up to and say, wow, I want to follow her, you know? And so I already feel like the legacy was just breaking, you know, those glass ceilings of saying, you know what, like if this is a male dominated industry, well, like I'm going to go do it anyway, like, you know? Right. And the legacy is there because I came in at a time where nobody was doing it. Nobody. There were very, very, very small amounts of women, especially in the urban hip hop like world. There was no women doing it. Yeah, it was like everybody was like too afraid. You know, but that to me is bigger than any record that I work on and anything. It's just being able to be that person that people can look up to and just say, wow, like, and I get that now. Like people write me all the time on socials or they get my email and they write me these like big thank you, like, you know, you've been such an inspiration and, you know, you're the reason. Like when I get those, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah. Like, you know, that's because that's an impact and that impact is now their story. Yeah. So when they tell their story through success or whatever, they go whatever life, I you know, if somebody asked them, well, what made you get into music? Well, there was this engineer like Marcella, you know, and it's like, that's it. Like, you know, and I love that now that like me being a mom, my son is like, he doesn't really get it. Like sometimes he does. Like when I went to the Grammys this past year and, you know, I was at all these events doing carpets and red carpet events and at the show, like I'm sitting like right, Taylor Swift was like diagonally this way, yeah. Victoria Monet that way, you know, Beyonce 2 tables over. Like, you know, I'm in the front. Like I had a couple of, like I was seen on camera a few times by people that were watching the show. But when he saw it, like he was just like, my mom, yeah. Like, you know. I love that. I just love that he's able, I don't think he's making the connection. It's weird. Like, he doesn't know, like, he knows my mom. He's like, my mom is cool. He thinks I'm cool because I wear Jordans. He's like, you're not like the other moms. He's like, you're different. Yeah. He's like, you wear J's.
That's funny.
Yeah. But, like, you know, I think when he does get to that age and it all clicks, and he's like, what? You know, and he has Googled me before, though. And he's like, Mom.
That's funny.
When was this picture? Yeah. There's, like, pictures from, like, 15 years ago. He's like, was I alive? I'm like, no, absolutely not. I was like 25 then. But yeah, like I say, the legacy is just being able to do something that has allowed other people to be inspired and has given them the courage to pursue their own career and just take that leap just off of my own success. Yeah. Yeah.
Selfishly, I want to talk about your recent investment in No Days Off Premium Water.
Of course.
So, you know, one of the things you said earlier, you were talking about, you know, Danja being like one of your mentors and obviously business partners. And it's funny, Nate, for me, has been like, we're always there for each other. Yeah. Even when we don't talk to each other. Like, It's like we know we have each other's back and we can go weeks without talking. Yeah. And that's something rare that men, you know, don't really have much of that. And so for him, he knows he can call me anytime, I can call him anytime, but it's like the conversations, every time we do talk, the conversations are meaningful and they're intentional. They're like, meaningful is the best way to say it. Yeah. I mean, they're not just like, you know, did you see the Dolphins game? You know, it's like, no, we're talking about like life. We're talking about pursuit. We're talking about future. We're talking about making a difference. We're talking about impact. Like we're talking about things that we want to leave on the world and leave our mark. And yeah. So he's always been just, I mean, you know, just one of my favorite people in the world, honestly. And, yeah. And so when I brought him this concept, it was interesting because he was going to do his own water. Yes. And then for him to, you know, kind of team up with me on this, and then you come in was just like, it kind of all came full circle. So how has it been? How's the reactions been from people? And, And how's it going, like,
So-
on your side? Because I haven't really talked to you about that.
Exactly. So, I mean, for me, from the first time I even had tried the water, I was hooked. Like, this is not even like a shameless plug. This is like truth. Like, I was like, what is this? Like, this is different. And he's like, yeah, like, and I was just like, so what happened, and I'll tell you, like, what happened was last year in October, I think I had told you, in October I was in Texas for a few weeks. And I was there and I wanted this water. And I didn't know at the time that it was only in Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking, like, where can I find this water? So I go on the site. I realize, okay, this is right now at the moment. It's like on Amazon. It's on Walmart. But whatever. I couldn't get it shipped to me because I could only do like a PO box type thing. So whatever, it didn't work.
What part of Texas were you in?
I was in Austin. In Austin. I'm sorry, Houston.
Oh, Houston. All right.
Yeah, Houston.
We might
Texas.
be in Austin soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. So what ended up happening was I came back like I don't know, some kind of a fiend for water. I was like, I need to have this water. Like that's it. Like I know it. Like I want a part of this. Like I want to be a part of this water.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Isn't it crazy though? Like, so I tell people all the time that the best way to realize that our water is so good is drink it for like a month straight only. Like, don't drink any other water. Drink only our water for about a month. And then go out of town where they don't have the water and then see what happens.
So that's what happened.
And I'm telling you, because every time I travel and I can't like get the Amazon there or whatever, and I have to drink, like recently I had to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and I had to drink, I think it was Smart Water, and it tasted like ass,
oh, gosh,
like compared to our water. So
yeah, so that's what happened. I came back and I just was like, I'm like, I can't be without this water again. Like, as a matter of fact, like I want to be a part. Like, how can I? So long story short, we talked, and I got involved. I love this water. Everybody that I have given a try, like, is like, they they always look at the can like, what is this? Like, what? And then because they're like, it tastes so good. It's so like crisp, And so I recently, well, I would say about 3-4 months ago, I did a podcast with my friends Tank and Jay Valentine. It's called the R&B Money Podcast.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to bring the water.
Yeah.
I want to bring the water, right? And so I ended up bringing a couple cases with me to the podcast. And I had asked the guys, like, yo, like, is it cool if we kind of put some on, on the table? They're like, yeah, we would love to support you, anything, whatever. So, like, in the podcast, they had it all lined up, and it was all beautiful. And the whole time I'm drinking, I love Distill. Like, that's my favorite is Distill. And so I'm drinking it the whole time while I'm on this podcast. And so they stopped at one point. They're like, wait, guys, you know what? Like, because it's not live, it's recorded, but but they were like, you know what? Hold on, we gotta just mention this. She's not drinking a beer, folks. They thought she was drinking a beer. They're like, she's actually drinking a water. Like, and so it was like this whole moment where they just highlighted No Days Off. They're like, so they opened up a can, they start drinking. They're like, oh man, this is crazy. Da, da, da. And then Tank starts doing a whole jingle. Like, I gotta pull this up for you.
Oh my God, we need this on our social. What's going on?
Like,
Amber, where have you been?
Yeah.
How'd you miss this?
No, like, you have to pull it up.
When was this?
March, April.
Oh my God, you guys send me this stuff.
I know, because the thing is, I thought I did. I think I sent it to Robin. I don't know who I did.
All right.
I think I sent it to your marketing girl. Okay.
Robin's in trouble. All right. You're getting everybody in trouble
Robin
right now.
saw it. Like, she knew. Like, and so, I don't know. Long story short, like, he ends up doing a whole jingle for it.
No
like,
way.
he starts playing the keys, and he's like, no. He starts barking like the dog. He's like, rrr, rrr. Like, it's like,
I love it. Yeah, we definitely need that footage.
Yeah, I'll get it to you. But I have literally been showing up to events, like Recording Academy events, and just like, you know what? Like, try this one. People are like loving it. They like randomly, like, I was on a Zoom and some meeting, and I saw somebody drinking this on the Zoom, and I was like messaging them privately, like, is that a No Days Off sparkling water? They're like, actually it is. How do you know? I was like, looks familiar.
That's hilarious.
And they're like, man, it's so good. I guess at this particular meeting they were having it, like, just, and so he said he looked cool, so he picked it up, and he was like, it's actually really good. And so it's been an amazing, positive, just people loving it, and like, how can I get more, right? Like, Kay's basketball team, one of the coaches, I mean, he's always like Can I get some more water? Can I get some more water? Like, get on Amazon, damn it.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. Everybody, that's the only problem with water, though, is everybody thinks it's free.
No, yeah. No, but he does support. He does
I'm
support.
Like, come on now. We need
he
your
supports
help.
on Amazon for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, listen, I'm so excited for when I go into some of these restaurants out here, and then like they just like I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll take one of those. And this is actually my first time seeing the glass.
Yeah, that's we're still
minis.
working on dropping the glass into this year. It's actually the glass was a part of this from day one, but it's actually been a way harder process.
Oh, really?
Than anything and so there's basically because I don't do anything like anybody else.
Right.
And so because I want a different bottle than anybody else out there.
Right.
If you do something like that, then they don't have the filler to fit the bottle because you're doing something different than everybody else.
Oh, gotcha.
Then, they don't have the top because, there's just all this stuff. But like anything, that's what I love about it.
Right.
Is that you got to
Figure it
find
out.
a solution.
Find
You
a
got
way.
to figure it out no matter if it takes you a year or 2 years. So,
Yeah.
So we're going to figure it out, and we're still figuring it out. And then we're going to drop the glass bottles hopefully by the end of the year. And then the 8-ounce cans came out.
Those are great.
Just recently.
Yeah.
And people are loving. They're calling them like the puppy cans.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So those have been a real big success, like hit as far as like first impressions. No, but I just want to say like I'm so appreciative though of you buying into it and investing and just getting authentically involved, not only as a consumer but also just getting the word out because believe it or not, I've trained thousands and thousands of professional athletes and celebrities and all these people. And, you do something like this and you reach out to all those people. And there was a lot of people that, just kind of are like, yeah, whatever, whatever. And so to have you and Rico and Danja and people that have seen my kind of growth through the years and then say, yeah, I want to support this. I want to get behind this. It means a lot because like I said, there was few and far between. Actually was the largest. I like got the most investors for my company. Like I brought in the most investors. Yeah. But they were all mostly like not celebrity athlete types. They were like businessmen and those kind of relationships.
Yes.
So it's been interesting, like to see that plan out. And then for me, it's also like you love to win. So I can't wait till we have our Kobe Bryant body armor ending. So.
No, but listen, beyond even the investment of it, I love and the taste of it. I mean, the messaging behind it. I mean, it's just that's how I live. So for me, it was like not taking a day off on yourself. That's who I am. Whether it's and it goes beyond of just being in the gym. It's like what I do on a daily basis, mentally, spiritually. It's an everyday thing. It's not. Oh, today I just don't feel like it. It's like, no, today it's good. Like just like yesterday, and I take that to heart. When I first met you ages ago, long time ago, I mean, no days off has been the motto. You know what I mean? And you've never deviated from it. So to see the growth of you and your products and your vision. Like I remember your vision of having multiple gyms. Mm-hmm. Like it was a talk that we would have during our workouts. Like, yeah, the way I see it. And we were in the other the first Wynwood location, and I'm in there, you're kicking my ass, and I'm like, okay, Manning, get me to the next thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I need to get out of here.
It was 120 degrees.
Right, 100. It was so hot, but I'm just such a believer of you more than anything. Beyond the product, you are the product. So I know you. I've believed in you. I've loved to see your growth. I've been to the very first grand opening you had in the other location. I've been to this grand opening. I work out at your Fort Lauderdale location. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I love what you have built. I believe in it. And I just, you're family to me. And that's not the reason. I'm telling you, it's like, I really believe in it all.
Yeah.
It's the whole
And we're
package.
just getting started, so get ready.
I'm really excited.
So,
Listen,
I'm telling you.
I'm very proud. It's like a baby for me. It's like, oh, the baby's growing.
But again, it's just very appreciative, you and Nate. So, and like I said, wait till you see what's coming. Like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
And I tell, and that's the thing I want all of us to know is like, regardless of of our gifts that we've been given and that we've used.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we can't evolve into new gifts and new ideas and new things and use what we've done in the past to then propel us to somewhere different in the future. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Nice. I love that.
Thank you.
No, thank you.